Hey, so I was asked recently, well, I made a post recently on Instagram saying, just captioning an image saying I didn't do enough processing lately, and actually on Twitter as well. So um, I'm just gonna go over what I meant by that. Like, some of you just asked me what that was, and it basically is my second brain. So I don't know if you know, if you're aware of this technique called the second brain technique, where you try to code. So by code, I don't really actually mean just coding, because you guys know I'm involved in the software engineering space and that. But by code here, it actually means it's an acronym where, not really an acronym, is it? It is an acronym that stands for a few things. Specifically, the C stands for capture, and the O stands for organize, and D stands for distill, and E stands for express. So it's basically this technique that I have deployed since last year. Given the fact that I suddenly became overwhelmed with a lot of information, I immediately needed some kind of tool to quickly capture fringing thoughts. So, what do I mean by fringing thoughts? So, fringing thoughts are basically these thoughts that just appear randomly while you're doing something. They appear random, but they're there to remind you either to scratch off some task on your list, or to do something or take some action. But you can't really, because you are occupied either currently with some task. So the only way that you can increase your productivity is by effectively capturing this fringing thoughts. And in addition, if you have a proper method to code, again, to reiterate, to capture, organize, distill, and express a piece of information that your brain generates, then you can certainly be able to make the best decisions and get the best of outcomes. So here I'm going to show you the dots. So this dots represent a note that I took over the year. Basically, I took them throughout the year, basically creating a different notes. It could be a daily note. So in fact, I took notes daily almost for the past year every day, just to capture any kind of, whether it is a daily task or any kind of task that I feel like I needed to do on the day. So this helped me stay grounded and focused even when there are other distractions that could arise. So this definitely helped me create a better environment and all. So this is a skill that you can develop through time, and note taking is an essential part of the process to get things done. So, what tools have I used in the past for note taking? So, for note taking, I majorly used tools like Notion in the past because the aesthetics of it clearly attracted me, and I have used them extensively to create this agile like tables that allowed me to label tasks, create and track the progress of different tasks, and also like break down tasks into smaller pieces and all, so that I could either also, analyze the different aspects of my life. So this is what I actually did with my daily routines. I basically wrote down this task in my Notion, which made it really easily accessible. So any information that I needed some quick access of, I logged it. So basically, I followed the principle of logging as much as I can, which is something I have derived from the engineering lifestyle, where I log as much as I can so that I could get the best insight into my execution process of my daily programs. So it's just simply doing that. And sometimes I also set up breakpoints on the daily so that I could be able to somehow debug my life, basically set up these breakpoints to actually see what things are going wrong, analyze some issues in that. So I really took the software engineering approach even deeper to my personal life, and it actually helped me a lot. So getting back to the tools that I use for note taking, I have used Notion extensively in the past, but however, since then I migrated to a different tool, which I am really enjoying it, and I really love using it at the moment, is Obsidian. So Obsidian's principle is you can I'll probably link the uh, the the reason why Obsidian it was created. I could say the manifesto or something. So you can go ahead and read um, the principles behind Obsidian, but it's a tool, an app that allows you to follow a principle called a file over app principle. And you can follow the guy on Twitter as well. He's pretty much active there. It's being developed by a Twitter username called Kepano. I think it's Stefan, his name. I might have to link that as well. So he basically has this principle set for the app where applications uh, should generally be focused on a file over app principle. I won't go deeper into the file over app principle, maybe in another video if it's necessary, but that's the tool that I'm using right now to take notes, even write to-do lists, tasks, and all. The reason I switched for this really simplified tool is that initially it was completely for privacy reasons. Um, the more I started writing out, the more I started producing content for myself, where I started capturing these fringing thoughts and all. It immediately led to the state where I needed to somehow, put it in a state where it couldn't be manipulated somehow. So, I mean, if you put your applications on the cloud, definitely that data could leak in some way, in one way or another. So that data leak could be from your data broker selling your data to Facebook, Google, or other vendors. Or so just to preserve that privacy, that was one of the reasons why I switched from Notion to Obsidian. And the second one was tasks started became I mean tasks started to become a little bit cumbersome to deal with, because I had a whole lot of backlogs of incomplete tasks, which I was effective in completing. However, sometimes simplicity is really appreciated when it comes to productivity. There are moments where, hey, I don't need to just spin up a new um, page or story just to write down what is supposed to be accomplished. I can just simply write a simple to-do list or a simple markdown file, and then go 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 with that. So that was also one of the decisions, since most of my work and tasks were working with code, well, in reality as well. So actually writing code, I have extensively used other tools such as Visual Studio Code and that to basically implement and create applications and with various programming languages. So, okay, sorry, I'm back now. So to actually minimize the context switching between different tools, this file over app principle actually helped me transition easily, and it allowed me to focus on just creating a simple markdown without having to manage a whole story in that. So, and it also gave me the flexibility and opinion to add on my own rather than having to follow a specific structure. So that flexibility also gave me a whole lot of room to work with. So that is why I basically switched to Obsidian again. And there's also a whole bunch of cool features which aren't available on Notion as well. So, particularly one that quite attracted me is the graph view tool, where you can just spin up a graph, either a local one or a global one, and then you can start from there and map out your um, knowledge chain or your information chain that you have explored through. So I will actually give you this personal encyclopedia where you can benefit a whole lot from it. So this will create a whole level of self-awareness because you'll be able to see your personal neural connections somehow and to some degree externalized rather than have it be internalized. So this is also one paradigm shift for me in the past few years where I started actually focusing on externalizing more and more rather than internalizing information. So here's the reason why you shouldn't internalize information. It's simple. It's for the sake of flexibility. You don't want to stick to a certain routine, a certain instance where you are stuck in a specific loop and basically be trapped. So, to avoid this knots and traps in the future, the best thing to do is to not take things internally. So, keep them outside, externalize them a lot. Anything that comes even from the internal, take it out, put it in a node. And once you have extensively externalized either your I mean, internal thoughts or any external cue or signal or information that comes from the outside, then you are gonna benefit a lot. And the fact that your neural pathways won't be immediately impacted. So it will actually help you have the utmost decision in choosing what should come into your mind, if that makes sense. So you will have a fine grained control over what influences you, over what actually imposes a certain ideal or whatever um, topic on you. So that is specifically why I really started focusing on this paradigm shift where I focus on externalizing a lot and extensively as well before having to internalize a piece of information. Reason being is that there's a whole lot of micro influencing going on, either from social media or from peers, or it could be from somebody else that you are not even aware of. It could be your ads, it could be it could be anything. It could be coming from anywhere. So if that made it in your mind for some reason, then you'll see it reflect on your notes. You'll see it reflect on your notes at some point. So if you could catch this is basically the fringing thought. If you could catch this, capture it, and quickly take it out, and put it on your device, then it will create this traceability, searchability, and a whole lot of attributes that could help you focus on bringing the best version of yourself to the game. So there's a whole lot of convincing that went in there to actually allow me to focus um, on either picking the right tools. However, I'm quite versatile when it comes to using any kind of productivity tools. And in fact, of course, I haven't fully migrated from Notion as well. It's kind of hard, of course, fully migrating because you could think of it this way: you could map out your thoughts and thinking patterns on some, um, you could call it note base, and then porting that and transferring that as a whole process as well. Well, it could also be a fresh start. Who knows? So these note taking skills where you focus on actually externalizing is very important. So getting back to Obsidian, migrating to it was easy because it just doesn't have a whole lot of framework to it. It leaves the flexibility to you to manage how you would organize your space. And it was easy to start because I had the ability to work with code bases. So it was simply creating this markdown notes where I just created this specific styles and all and followed through my own custom way of doing things. So these are the two tools I have predominantly used in the past. However, like way, way down in the line, I have used those old tools starting from Google Notes to, I think it was Google Keep, and also there are other note taking tools. Um, so one thing is that I have also used tools. For example, if you're using an iPhone, you're gonna have to use tools such as your reminders, because it really depends on your way of operation. So sometimes it's just some form of accessibility comes in play where the easiest or the nearest or proximity really impacts whether some sort of thought gets captured sooner. So the more close that specific tool chain is, or the more accessible that specific tool chain is to you, of course, you should go with it initially. But sometimes you have to opt in and force your way, take a long, winded path to capture that specific thought. But usually, I also capture these fringing thoughts even while I'm sleeping, because the best thoughts, if you know them, come during your sleep hours. So I even capture them as a voice note and that. But the whole thing is that find a way which works for you, which is suitable enough in terms of either accessibility or in some other sort of manner where you can easily capture, organize, distill, and express your thoughts. So this is going to be just a simple video where I just go over some of my note-taking aspects of my life, and I will try to like just make this pictures. I can just post them if you want access to the tools, or if you want me to point you to the right tools, specifically to the right direction, certainly reach out. And yeah, if you're interested in more contents about productivity, be sure to comment. And yeah, of course, if you like it, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it to the right person in case they need it. So yeah, cheers.